The Green Pail retained heat cooker holds many foods at cooking temperatures long enough that simmering is not necessary. The Green Pail will hold 7 liters of pintos long enough to cook them well done and keep them above 170 degrees Fahrenheit for 5 hours. The larger the mass, the longer it holds. It is large enough to hold a 6-liter count pot or a 2-liter shielded pot. It is basically an inner shell isolated from an outer shell with loose fill insulation. The Green Pail also functions as a windshield for my alcohol stove to make cooking in extreme conditions possible. In goes 2 ounces of denatured alcohol. The burner is lit. And in goes the shielded pot with 48 ounces or 1.5 quarts of water. At 19 minutes there's a rolling boil. At 23 minutes the flame is out. The cap is installed and the cooking system goes into retained heat mode. At 1 hour later, the temperature was checked and the water is still above 190 degrees Fahrenheit. The Green Pail is made from 2 9-inch cake pans that cost $1.50 each at the dollar store, 30 inches of 14-inch wide aluminum that cost $2 at Home Depot, 2 lids, a 5-gallon plastic pail, and some screws and sawdust. I'm measuring for the inner shell. 30 inches is a convenient length since it provides enough lap and you get 4 pieces out of a 10-foot roll. The Green Pail is green because it is made locally from local materials with local labor, and it is made from recycled plastic pails. The aluminum is marked and cut, and 2 pieces of tape are installed to help fit the shell to the cake pans, which act as heads for the inner shell. The shell is wrapped around the heads and pulled tight. The Green Pail is green because it saves the energy that it takes to simmer food, and it keeps the heat out of the kitchen, saving on summertime air conditioning costs. The Green Pail is green because it saves the time necessary to watch food simmer. You can simply set it and forget it, walk away, and leave it for hours. The Green Pail is green because it can hold food at safe temperatures between meals, making refrigeration unnecessary. This would be handy in off-grid situations. Being green means being functional in emergency, disaster, and survival situations. 2 screws are installed in the bottom head. The top head is removed and a notch is cut and folded to temporarily hold the dimension. I will cut the inner shell to length later. Building the Green Pail will help you learn and practice useful skill sets that can be used to build some of my other designs, like some of my biomass-fired appliances. I am using a wood block to buck the shell so a screw can be installed. The inside should be smooth. Now, one of the lids is used to make a ring to blank off the upper part of the inner shell. Part of the lid has to be removed so the ring will fit inside the pail. This is done in 2 steps. First, the outer flange is cut away, which leaves the inner flange, which is also cut away. This makes a snug fit inside the pail. Now I need a hole in the center to make a ring that fits around the inner shell to retain the loose fill insulation. Since the pan is tapered, it is difficult to get an accurate measure. So I scribed 3 lines with the dividers. I made the first line a little smaller than the estimated measurement and 2 more lines a little larger. If the first line is too small, I will cut the second line. I've drilled some starter holes and used the snips to start a relief cut. And I will continue making a relief cut until I get close to the first line. This method is used in many applications to get a good fit and a smooth, even cut. Now that I'm close, I'll make a cut on the first line. The Green Pail is a street vendor micro-enterprise design that someone could build and sell at flea markets or garage sales. The hole is too small, so now I will make a cut on the second line. Now it fits just right. Now it's time to make the top cap. 4 marks are made on the cake pan head. The roll flange is snipped at the 4 marks. The roll flange is flattened so there's enough room to install the screws. Now I will modify the lid so that it only has 2 tabs to lock it on so they can be easily removed. I'm marking the tabs so I don't accidentally cut them off. The flange is cut just above the locks, but I'm leaving enough flange to cap over the pail. Now the lid is easy to install and remove. Now I'm drawing an alignment mark so the head can be centered on the lid, and drilling holes in the flanges on the pan head. Then it is centered on the lid. The first hole is drilled and a screw is installed. The alignment is checked before the rest of the screws are installed. I will turn these screws around and install them from the other side when I fill the head with insulation. Now it is time to cut the inner shell to length. So in goes the inner shell and on goes the cap. The amount to be cut is measured. I'm using bi-scripts to scribe the line. The excess is cut away. The head should fit snug in the inner shell when the cap is installed. Now it is time for insulation. I'm adding enough to fill the bottom head. Then sawdust is added around the sides, keeping the shell centered. Next, the ring is installed. I'm using a piece of the trimmed shell as a shim to make it fit. Then the ring is screwed in place through the outer shell. We're almost finished. The pan is removed from the lid and filled with insulation. Then it is reinstalled, installing the screws from the outside. It looks like a perfect fit. You can use the cap as a base and set the pail over your pot, or you can set your pot down in the pail and use the insulated cap. I've decided that spray painting is not a very green thing to do, so I've started scraping off the painted label. So if your green pail is white, that is even greener, so to speak. If you found this video useful, stay tuned to Instructables and YouTubes for more designs to build by LannyPlans.